Hey YouTubers, my name is X Factor, and this is something you haven't seen in a long time on my channel, as I'm taking a little break from the Battlefield series while we're waiting for Battlefield 4 to come out. This is Battlefield 3, Seine Crossing, size large, conquest. And it's super important to get to the C point, and more importantly, not get blown off the map. If you lose your piece of armor, their armor's just going to come steamrolling through and you're in trouble. So, I landed a couple side shots on this guy. So he's got to be really careful because he's kind of missing right now. And of course in Battlefield 4 a lot has changed as I try to go fish as I nail a couple guys trying to walk their way up on the ladder. So some things have changed. I can't spam my main turret like I'm doing, the actual tank shell. Can't do it. You have to do this juggling thing now with armor in Battlefield 4. If you see a couple pieces of armor coming towards you, or a jeep and a tank, you have to prioritize your target. You also have to bait people into giving you the preferred shots. And again, there's damage zones in Battlefield 4. There's a top zone, which is nasty for RPGs, and more people are going fishing, trying to pick them off as I go. There's a top zone, there's a side zone which can do like 35 to 40 some damage, and the rear zone. If you money shot a tank in the rear straight in, it's 55 damage, and it's a critical disable. They can't move forward, backwards, and they can't turn the tank. So if a shot came in straight to the rear, by the time you can move your tank, the second RPG's coming. And the way the tank rear ends are, you can't just turn your turret around and shoot him with the LMG. It'll be interesting to see what else changes with the Battlefield 4 armor besides the RPG. That's already been confirmed that the lock is gone for the RPGs and smalls if there's a recon player helping lock targets. Don't worry, there'll be plenty of things to lock vehicles, such as the Javelin, and I believe the Igula or Stigula or whatever the air one is definitely coming back. So there'll be plenty of stuff, just like there is for Battlefield 3, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with some of this armor aspect. There's a lot of rumor mill floating around, such as adding a couple more extra shells to the MBTs because they just run out so quick. And of course it'll be interesting to see the anti-infantry shell, how effective it is, because the anti-armor shell, if you miss the infantry by about a foot and a half, it will not kill them. And here I am trying to back up. I've got a gunner with proximity that keeps getting in and out and kind of spawning on me. So that's really helping. So at this point in time, I'm trying to maintain just basically the front line. Don't let people behind me. They're starting to squeeze this back corridor, so it's a good time to back up. And remember your spawn timers. On some of these Battlefield 4 maps, there will be smaller armor maps where there might only be 1 or 2 pieces of armor as people are swimming again, and I'm trying to just drop runnable because I've got no shot on this guy that's coming up primarily. So keep in mind, did you just kill the tank? Well, Battlefield 4 seemed to have minute and a half respawn times, much like Battlefield 3. And I'm in a little trouble here because, again, I don't want people behind my tank where I don't have a good angle to kind of turn around and shoot them. So one of our gimmies is flashing, and that probably means a couple of these fishermen actually got through and are burning our D flag at the moment. That can create a lot of issues. Whenever you play maps like this, if they get in your back cap, and no one responds to it, they're more than likely going to take your other back cap. Then your armor is going to get shot in the ass, and then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because your armor is probably not getting out of the spawn on a map like this if they have both back caps. And that's D and E in our situation. This is just a nasty map to roll armor from this side if they've got your 2 gimmies. So it's really important to be responsive to that no matter what map you're on, but it's hard for the armor. Why is that? Because sometimes the armor won't get their spot back that they wanted to protect to begin with. And I got lucky. That guy got disabled. It looks like he had some sandwiches on him. Something was going on, but he went down really easy. I got a nice little pop shot in there, and away we go to setting back up. And that's one of the biggest things. The setup is important whenever you're playing Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4. It's not just getting to a point and farming out kills, because sometimes that can hurt your team. Okay, so great. You're standing in the spot where my tank is, and you just rack up 15 kills. That's awesome. But what happens if you lose D and E in the process? What's that 15 kills mean in the longevity of the match when you guys are off the ticket bleed and you can't get it back? It's just like hitting your head against a hammer. It's an uphill battle. It's not a lot of fun. So D is flashing again. Up we go and spam a little spot, and I get lucky. My gunner bailed me out there. Due to the angle, I was stuck on the flagpole, and you could see the swing of it. So in Battlefield 4, I played a lot of tank. And position, awareness, you were greatly rewarded by doing so. In Battlefield 3, you could kind of bullshit your way through sticky situations because, again, the HMG, which I believe is coming back in Battlefield 4, but the LMG would overheat and the main gun would run out, or you just got out-positioned by a sneaky NG. You're in a lot of trouble. You couldn't bullshit your way in Battlefield 4. The armor aspect, if you want to be extremely successful, has to be extremely tactical and extremely efficient with the ultimate map awareness. Most of my rounds that you guys have seen, I do a lot of shuffling back and forth in points. For instance, on the Shanghai map, let's say our gimme was being capped, I would go back, because the last thing that you want to happen is a ton of NG spawn behind you and just insta-gib your piece of armor, which happened quite a few times. So paying attention to things like that can help stop map from getting out of control, because again, the worst thing that can happen is they can get behind you and basically take your back caps. Sometimes you never recover that loss of flags, because then your armor gets cut off or your armor gets insta-gib and you lose a couple pieces of armor, and then their armor can steamroll right through. Not to mention it has to do with what classes are being used, and the good news is the engineers in Battlefield 4 are extremely efficient. Even without the lock-on RPG, they are the harbingers of death with a combination of the carbines. The shotguns seem to need a lot of work. I was not impressed with them at all, but the carbines were extremely good. The DMRs are okay, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when they introduce 80 to 90 more weapons that we didn't get to see in beta. It's going to be a balancing nightmare, but I guarantee you there'll be 5 to 7 good guns in every class that are extremely effective at multiple ranges, maps, and situations. So trying to back up again, and we've kind of got a decent squeeze on here. Got them down to about 142 tickets. At this point, it's about bottling up the flanks. I can only push as far as my infantry, and I'm always looking at the dead teammates, because again, a piece of armor is only as strong as the infantry around him, and that's a big thing going into Battlefield 4, because if you make one wrong turn in Battlefield 4 with the piece of armor, you're critically disabled and you just got insta-gibbed. Again, in Battlefield 3 with the disable system and reactive armor being here, you can get away with just a little bit more, especially being able to spam the main shell, which is pretty good at anti-infantry. Battlefield 4, again, that main shell, and again, it's beta, lots going to change, and there's going to be multiple shells in the game, was just awful. You might as well just shoot your LMG and hope to God it doesn't go on cooldown. So a spot like this, I probably would have been dead in Battlefield 4. And again, reactive armor will be in Battlefield 4. That will help out a lot, but that only buys you a split second. If there's 2 engineers there, one eats the armor, the second one's a straight shot, you're critically disabled, the game is over. So being a sneaky engineer was a ton of fun in the Battlefield 4 beta. It was probably my favorite thing to do. I actually think I got 6 service stars as an engineer. Didn't play a lot of rooftop domination, aka conquest domination. I got 1 as an assault, I got a couple as a support, and 1 as the recon, because running around Pokeballs is a blast. And if you guys haven't seen, I've been playing a lot of Bad Company 2 the last couple days and posting some Bush Wookiee and medic footage. The game's a blast. I forgot how much fun it was, but there are dramatic differences with the way the sensitivity works in that game. There is no reduction of ADS sensitivity when you're hip firing versus ADS, and the player movement is a lot different. In this game, you can sprint strafe, where you're sprinting forward but might be leaning on one of the movement keys. It'll slowly move you that way. And Bad Company 2, it just completely stops what you're doing. You simply can't do it. So that gets you in trouble just a little bit. And then, of course, you can't go prone in Bad Company 2, but that game has the ultimate amount of destruction. Just an absolute ton. So that's what I've been doing to kind of kill my time the last couple days. And going back to C, trying to stomp out a fire before it begins. And you can let them have C, as long as you don't lose your gimmies. Don't sacrifice your gimmies D and E to keep C. Fall back, grab D, wipe out all the bad guys, grab E, wipe out all the bad guys, and push forward. Try to keep the map in front of you, the bad guys in front of you. It's when you let the little gremlins in back that you're going to have a ton of trouble. And here's some pillaring here where I'm giving my side away. but he's got bigger problems to worry about, like probably about 35.5 infantry in front of me right now that are just spamming him. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this flawless ride on Seine Crossing, some Battlefield 3 old school armor gameplay. It'll be interesting to see all the changes that roll out in beta. The developers have already touched on quite a few of them, balance issues and whatnot, but I'm looking forward to how the armor plays out. Wow. As always, YouTubers, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you guys soon.